Welcome back, Sober Family. This is another episode of Recovery Talk brought to you by Pro Recovery Power. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed the last live we had with Crystal, with Chris. She had an amazing story to tell. I mean, there was so much hope in her story. I got some good feedback from it. I talked to her for a while after the the live was over, man. I mean, even though she's a woman and I'm a man, I can relate so much to her story. Even take the drugs and take the alcohol out of the story, I can totally relate. It was great. It was great. A lot of inspiration, a lot of hope. And I hope you guys are doing great. What's up, Haley? But now I got Sarah on, and I spoke to her earlier, and I can't wait for this. It's just I'm so excited for it. You know, as you guys know, pretty much everybody here follows her. And while I was talking to her about the reels, she got some good reels that she makes and that she creates. But anyways, without further ado, let me get her on, and I'll let her tell her story, and I won't tell it for her. Hey, there she is.
Hi.
Hey, Sarah, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
All right, I'm doing good. It's pretty. It's not as like hot here today. Well, I'm indoors in the AC anyway, but I was
Mhm.
outside earlier and it wasn't as warm. I don't know what's going
Yeah.
on, but I like it. I like it because
Hmm.
tomorrow we're having our first PRP event here actually up on the roof.
Oh,
It's a
fun.
barbecue, so it's gonna be great. A lot of people that I'm really good friends with, but I met through social media that I haven't met in real life yet. I'll finally meet them tomorrow. A bunch of them. It's
Oh,
gonna be
that's
a
so awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be a bunch of us tomorrow. So really excited about that, but I'm really excited about this now. Like we spoke earlier, and been following each other for a while, and I get a kick, man, out of your reels. I do. It's
Thanks.
so it's so funny and it's so true. It's so relatable. It's just hilarious, and like it for me, I'm like, man, that would take me so long to do all these reels, but it just
Yeah.
comes to you. You said when you're driving specifically.
Uh-huh. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I like to listen. I love musical theater, and I know people roll their eyes a lot that it's another musical. But I listen to it on the way to work, and then the idea comes in my head, and I'm like, I gotta do it because it's funny. It's funny to myself. I don't know if it's funny to other people, but I do it for my own entertainment.
Yeah. Well, it is very funny to me. I mean, I'm
Thank
sure
you.
everybody here will agree with me. Yeah, yeah. See, even Joe knows reels takes a
Yeah.
lot of effort. It really does. Takes a lot of thought, time, and
Hmm.
effort, to be put in there. But yeah, thank you for making those reels, because they are real. They're
Yeah.
real reels. They really are. It's not
Hmm.
like you're just trying to make people laugh. I mean, that's of course happening, but
Yeah.
your message is coming across as well. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So, thank you so much for that. I couldn't wait to tell you how much I love those reels. But thank you again, Sarah, for agreeing to be here and tell your story, and share it with all of us. I think we all could use some hope. We all could use a little bit of hope and a little bit of humor, which you got both of. So perfect. But before we get started, I just wanted to ask you, how long have you been sober?
I will be 5 months on Monday.
All right, all right. I kind of know your history. I'm sure you'll get into that.
Yeah.
Um, and where are you from?
I'm from Oregon. Born and
Oregon.
bred.
Okay.
Yep, still
Oregon. You
Oregon.
ever you ever played Oregon's Trail when you were a kid?
Oh, all the time. Yeah.
I could never get through the lake, the little lake. I could never
I know
get through
everybody dies of dysentery, and that game has just tested a lot of kids when they were younger.
it. Yeah, yeah. And then the next question is, what was your choice in drink and or drug?
So mine was alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
Lots and lots and lots of white wine. Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. So, real quick before I give you the floor to tell your story, I just want to let all of our viewers know who we are. Some people they may not even know what Pro Recovery Power is. So we're in the process of turning Pro Recovery Power into a nonprofit. We got the paperwork in already, my wife and I. But it all started with an idea. It started with an idea to help other people, which I never used to have that thought. active in addiction, but I had it in the middle of the pandemic to just start a page on Instagram. Then it led to these lives. It led to Recovery Clothing, nonprofit, website, and all these different things. Recovery meetings. I started doing physical panels here in my area. So, it's just really taking off. So if you guys could, I say this every week, if you're on your computer, go to our website, prorecoverypower.com. Right around here, in the bottom right-hand corner, there's a little questionnaire. If you're on your phone, it's like a little circle with a pencil. That will help us to measure our success and track our progress. But most importantly, it helps us to see where we can improve. And I'm a big believer in no matter how good I get, I can always improve in whatever area it is. So we want to be of maximum service to other people, to the community, and that'll really help push the vision of PRP forward. So thank you guys so much. And now, without further ado, I give you the floor to tell us your story.
Okay. So I have been in and out of recovery for over 10 years. I'm 33. My recovery journey started when I was 21. Let's kind of a little bit about how I started drinking. I started off I feel like any ideal teenager, some parties on the weekends in high school, that kind of stuff. I wasn't really a major drinker in my teens or anything. Then when I was 18, I got my fake ID, and I was out at the bars with my older girlfriends pretty much every weekend. But it was just kind of like the normal kind of partying, I guess. It wasn't anything that was red flagged yet. Yeah, but when my drinking started to get heavy, I worked in the service industry for 11 years. And if anybody who's been in the service industry, it revolves all around drinking. That's all you do. You, after work, you go to the bars, you blow all your tips, you do all that stuff. You're going to Jameson bartenders balls. You're going to your friends' who owns all these bars, and bars are really huge in Portland. The beer scene and all that stuff. And so it became a lifestyle for me. It was a normal lifestyle. You're young, you're working in the industry, you go out and party. That's what you do. So when I was 21, I got a DUI. Freshly after I was 21, I was probably like 6 months after turning 21. And through the state of Oregon, I did a diversion program. So that inquires paying a lot of fees, and then also doing kind of like an intensive outpatient treatment. So you go to these classes like 3 times a week. They UA you and all that stuff. And as a part of it, you have to go to AA meetings and get signatures from attending, from whoever, from the secretary. And it was the first time that I actually sat in AA that I thought to myself, I'm like, I think I have a problem. Like, my drinking is not normal. It's always excessive. And I felt, when I first started going to AA, I felt really comfortable, and I kind of felt like I belonged there. Like, there were people who had the same ideals as me, but here's where this happened. I'm 21. I'm young. I don't look like an alcoholic. It's just a phase. So that's how I took it. I'm like, I just made a mistake. It's a phase, whatever type of thing. But I still had that notion in the back of my head that, yeah, Sarah, you do have a drinking problem. Also, my parents don't drink. They still don't drink. I didn't grow up in a alcoholic family or anything. I do have relatives that on my mother's side that are alcoholics, and so it does run in the family a little bit, but I didn't grow up around that. I wasn't exposed to it. So there maybe is a little bit of a predisposition for me too as well. But after experiencing AA for the first time, I just kind of started doing my party thing. I had the notion in my head that I'm young. I don't look like an alcoholic. I'm not homeless. I'm not the stigma of what it is. I was living what I'm preaching now. I don't want people to stigmatize and stereotype people in addiction, but I was living that because that's what we're taught. That's what we're told. We're told that, alcoholics and addicts are these homeless, rough people, these bad people, no morals, like all this stuff. They have a distinct look to them. And I was like, well, I can't possibly be that. And so I lived that life for a long time. I was in the industry. I just kept drinking. And I've always dealt with anxiety and depression. And that is, I mask that a lot with drinking. Because I also, with a lot of people, I feel an addiction that I've come across is I am a perfectionist and I'm a people pleaser. And being a perfectionist and a people pleaser is a huge downfall for a lot of people. I thought that if I focused myself on other people's problems or fixed them, then my problems weren't real. Yeah. And also because I didn't want to get judged and I don't want to get judged. I did not want to have people talk about me or be like, oh my God, Sarah, she's an alcoholic. Oh God, you know, I didn't want that. I wanted to be the perfect girl, not the perfect, but I can't, you know, I didn't want to have a problem. And I'm not 100% sure where that perfectionism came from, honestly. I've always had it. I think it's because I'm not a confrontational person, and so it's easier just to put up a wall than deal with reality, which also aided in my drinking. I wasn't facing reality that I have a drinking problem. So, yeah. So kind of in my mid-20s, I did the typical drinking. I was over drinking. I was drinking every night. I was drinking after work. And then I ended up getting married at 27. I got married. And honestly, if I had not been drinking, me and my ex-husband probably wouldn't have never gotten married, never gotten rushed into it. He's a great guy, but we just were not compatible together. And I fell into a really intense depression. I just wasn't happy. Wasn't happy. My drinking kept progressing. I was drinking probably 2 bottles of wine a night, hiding them throughout the house, you know, going out and all that stuff. And I was on this hamster wheel of depression. I was so sad and so anxious and not happy in my life that I would drink to get rid of it. But then I'd wake up the next morning hungover and anxiety, and then it would make it worse, and then I'd do it again. And it was this hamster wheel I just could not get off of. And I became not dependent in a way that like I had withdrawal symptoms or I couldn't function throughout the day, because I was a binge drinker. I would binge drink for full days at a time, and then I would stop. And then it started to progress to longer binge streaks. And that's what earned me my first trip into treatment when I was 28. I don't know. So pretty much my ex-husband said, you know, you need to go to treatment. This is getting out of hand, because it got to the point where I was blackout drunk. I drank to get drunk. Yeah. My actions when I had drinking, I do not remember them. I turn into a bad person, an awful person. I say mean things. I do mean things. I'm belligerent, and I don't remember it the next morning. I passed that threshold, and that's how my drinking became. It was also a form of denial that I was using, that I couldn't be. I knew I was an alcoholic. I did. I knew it, but I did not want to admit it. It was a failure to me. It was like I failed as a person. I failed at life. I want to be perfect. I want to be all these things, but the drinking kept that from me. So I went to treatment, and it was a really amazing experience. I was really motivated. I was, sorry, my camera's shaking. My dog's on the bed. I'm sorry. I was really motivated to get in there because I wanted to get help. I was at the beginning of my journey of getting help, and had a really good time. I felt confident about it. And after I left, I stayed sober for probably about 3 months, 3.5 months after I left treatment for the first time. But I wasn't truly working myself. And that is where my relapses came in. I was doing the notions of everything. I'd stopped drinking. I was attending meetings, but I wasn't really working at it. I was doing the very basics to get by. And also, I was not honest about it. I was not honest with myself. I was not honest with other people. And so I was still hiding it. The only people that knew was my immediate family, obviously my ex-husband, and my closest girlfriends. Nobody else knew I had a problem with alcohol. They just thought I couldn't handle my wine or whatever.
Yeah.
So I ended up relapsing because I just wasn't actually dealing with anything. I was just doing the notions of everything. And about a year later, I went back to treatment for the second time. And my drinking had gotten out of hand. I was drinking every day. I was hiding it. That's all I wanted to do because I was so sad and so depressed. And honestly, if you look at it from the outside, I've had people say this to me before. What do you have to be sad about? What do you have to be depressed about? Like, and you can't say that to somebody because you don't know what their internal struggle is. You don't know what their chemistry in their brain is. And so the only way I knew how to cope and to make these feelings go away was drinking. So I ended up going to treatment for the second time a little over a year later. And while I was in treatment, my ex-husband decided that was the best time to tell me that we were getting a divorce. I'm happy that it happened in treatment because I had support around me. But at the same time, it was a pretty crappy way to do that to a spouse. But I understood why he wanted it. I secretly wanted it. We just were not compatible together. We both were making each other miserable. And I was an awful wife to him. I was mean. He wasn't Prince Charming either, but I had a lot of demons that came out during that marriage. And so after I got out of treatment, I had the rug pulled out from under me. I didn't have I moved in with my parents afterwards, but I literally felt like my whole life, just the rug got pulled out. And then I went into a deeper and darker drinking. I was drinking every day. I was drinking at my parents' house. I was hiding it from them. They would, I would hide bottles all over my room. I probably gave my parents multiple heart attacks, and I alienated my family and friends so much doing that. But I literally checked out on life. I honestly didn't care if I lived. I just kind of wanted everything to go away. And then COVID hit. And my drinking started, and over the past year, I knew I wanted to quit. I knew I did. I really wanted to, but I just didn't know how. I was the old phrase, I was sick and tired of being sick and tired, but I just didn't know how to jump off the train. And I was lonely, I was sad, and I realized that I wasn't being honest and I wasn't dealing with the things that I needed to deal with. I thought I was that person that hoped that a fairy godmother would come down and slap me with a wand and everything would go away, or I could take the red or the blue pill and I would be cured. And I thought if I just stopped drinking alcohol, that it would all go away, everything would change. But that's not reality. That's not how it works. So on February 26, 2021, I don't know what happened. I'm coming to the realization that I think it was my grandma who did this to me. But I woke up one morning with a gigantic slap in the face, it felt like, and somebody saying, "This is it. this is your one and only chance. This is it. You need to get, like, you need to get sober.
Mhm.
And I don't know if it was the universe, my grandma, I don't know, but something changed in my mindset. And that night I started Sassy Sobriety. And my first post, if you look at it, it's so like bad, but I just like typed because I didn't know what I was doing. I was just like, I feel like I need to be honest and hold myself accountable because I'm not holding myself accountable. And I started the page and I just let it all out there. And once I did that, everything changed in recovery for me. Once I knew I wasn't perfect, once I was honest with myself and the reality that, yeah, I have an addiction to alcohol. I have an alcohol use disorder. That's just plain and simple what it is. And once I let that go and accepted who I am, it changed completely everything, honestly. Someone really close to me, Jay, he would tell me that I was always walking uphill with a bag of rocks. And isn't it tiring? Isn't it time to let it go? And I did. And now I'm here today. I'm here where I am. I'm with this amazing community and finding people like you and your page and your message. And I honestly feel like I found some sort of a calling. And my whole thing now is I'm just super honest. I just say what I feel. I say what I, thoughts that go through my head, because I wish I had somebody who spoke out more when I was younger in recovery, because we all feel alone. And that's the thing, and that we're not alone. And because of the stigma and stereotype with addiction, nobody wants to talk about it. It's funny because you get looked down upon if you don't drink, but then you get looked down upon if you drink too much. So it's like you can't win. And then the stereotype and stigma with addiction and how normalized it is in society, nobody wants to admit that. And then I realized we're awesome people. Why don't we deserve happiness? Like, what? We're not bad. We're not faulty, And so I just now I'm here. I don't know. I lost my train of thought. Sorry.
Oh no, it's all good. It's all good. But thank you. Very, very much appreciated. Because I was curious myself. I know we talked for a sec only, over the phone, but I'm always, no matter how much time I get, I started to notice about myself. No matter how much time I get, if I'm at a meeting, if I'm doing a live, like, it doesn't matter. Even somebody more time with me, less time with me, whatever, it doesn't matter. I always receive hope from this person's story. Even if I'm full of hope, I'm still getting more of it, because I'm smart enough today to know that I don't know, kind of thing. Prior to getting sober, I knew everything. You couldn't teach me nothing, like it was amazing, man. I look back, it's just so embarrassing when I think about it. Like how I used to think and how I used to act and behave, I say this all the time. I would listen with my mouth and not with my ears,
Yes.
I would do that all the time. And if I'm doing all the talking, I'm not learning anything. Somebody told me that one day. Not told me, they were talking, and they said it in them. I was like, oh dang, I really resonated with that one, because in anything, in my career, in a relationship, I was the one that was doing this all the time. All the time. And I was like, oh man. So if I never can learn to listen and receive whatever the information is, add more value to myself, I can never add more value to anybody else, because I cannot transmit something I don't have, kind of thing. So that's why I'm really big on the growth aspect of recovery. But you said a bunch of things. Okay, the first one was, I could definitely relate to, because I was in it too, the service industry. When I was young, teenager, there's jobs like that left and right in Hawaii. Like, no problem. Servers, bussers, food runners, So I was, probably was like, I don't know, 17, maybe 16, 17. And I was working at this place in my hometown of Waimea. The place was called the Koa House Grill. and I was a busboy there. And every night I worked, every night without fail. We close the door, lock it. The chefs bust out all the alcohol, all the wine, everything, and we just, and then I just would just get kind of trashed, and then go home. Actually, now that I'm thinking about, it, I forgot about this. A couple of the chefs, they were hardcore tweakers, and I didn't know they were smoking meth. So they're like, "Hey, you wanna?" I was like, "Why not?" I just took one
Yeah.
hit, one hit. That's it, one hit. I stayed up the whole night. I was trying to sleep in my bed. I couldn't sleep. I'm like, "What's going on?" That was the first time I ever did try meth at
Mhm.
all. I was doing cocaine already at this point, but it was the first time I ever did meth, and I just thought about it right now because of that
Yeah.
situation. There was okay. You were saying, see, you're funny even when you're not trying to be funny. Because I wrote this down here. It says, so you're basically a pro people
I,
pleaser, basically.
yes. Yep. I'm
Yeah,
a professional people pleaser.
yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
I do
And
not know how to say no. I want to,
yeah.
it's, I became really good at it. And now I'm becoming really good at not being that. I'm a retired people pleaser.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You retired from that behavior.
Hmm.
But yeah, that was something that I could relate to because for me, like after getting into the work, I found different things out about me that I was totally unaware of. Because you can think like how can some human being not know this about themselves or that or whatever it is, and the cases may vary of why they're unaware of it, but like the reason why I wanted to like please everybody, the men in my life, the women in my life, people I looked up to, people I drank with and used with, is because I was a major control freak, and I'm trying to control their opinion about me, and it's very subtle. It's very subtle, you know.
Yeah. Oh,
You
I
know what I
relate to
mean?
that so much. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and and I was like, wow, and I was like, wow, that was it was like it was a revelation I had about me, and I was like, man, because like typically being a control freak, it's like, okay, no, we're doing this, we're going there, we're going on this vacation, like that control. No, don't go, no, don't wear that, change your clothes, or whatever it could be. Like that's the only way I saw control,
Yeah.
because I'm trying to control these people's opinion about me because I want to be accepted. That's why. I want to be one of the boys. I wanted to hang out with the cool people, kind of thing, and be around all these people like baby big time drug dealers or people that all these older guys that can fight, that just beat up people. And I idolized men like that in my life growing up. I mean, I seen a lot of violence and stuff like that. And alcohol is part of the culture in Hawaii. So when you start drinking, and then your friends, you start fighting with your friends, like and you see that happening with family and stuff. But that's something, man, that really struck me when you talked about that professional people pleaser, because I totally can relate to that.
Yeah.
And I found out why. For me, I found out why. I'm like, oh man, you mentioned honesty. That was something like when you got sober and stayed sober this time. That was something it sounded like was missing the first time around. It's kind of like you were just going through the motions, and you were doing what you were supposed to, quote unquote, in the rooms and meetings and things like that. And the stigma behind, stigma that's attached to addiction and drug addicts, alcoholics. Something that gave me so much hope early on was that I heard somebody say, they said, us drug addicts and alcoholics, we're not bad people trying to get good. We're sick people trying to get well. When I heard that, that gave me so much hope because I really could identify with it. This is just my take on the stigma, is that I believe that it exists because, like, simply out of pure ignorance, and that's it. People just are uninformed, they're unaware, they just do not know. That's it. And I think it's the responsibility of people like us
Hmm.
to show them that, look, it's not homeless people, it's not all these reckless people, and and we're just evil, and stuff like that. I mean, but typically, they'll somebody will see somebody like that, and they may be attached to some 12-step program, so they're saying, oh, you're like that, everybody got to be like that,
Hmm.
kind of thing. And we get labeled that, and that's why, man, I do my very, very best behind closed doors, out in public, to live my life like, you know, a newcomer is watching me all the time, even when I'm by myself, even if it's just me and my wife and my son. You know, I try to do my very best, and you know, I'm definitely not perfect, but I am a totally different human being from when I first got sober. You know, this is amazing how this process works. And alcohol, you talked about it being um, what do you call normalized, and you
Hmm.
know, alcohol is the one drug we do not have to explain using. We don't. It's just normalized. It's accepted.
But we have to explain why we're not using it.
Yeah, that's another thing too.
Who cares why we're not using it?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
just, you know?
You know, like me personally, my career, my passion, my purpose is all in the same thing. You know, I work in treatment and so and everything, and I got the nonprofit going and all this stuff. Like, like I don't care. Like I cannot wait till somebody asks me what I do, you know, so I can tell them
Yeah.
because I'm not an anonymous person. Like
Hmm.
to respect my fellowship and their traditions, I do not identify specifically what fellowship I belong to. I just
Oh
say
yeah,
12
of
step. I
course.
just say 12-step program. Me personally, but other than that, I recover out loud. Definitely, I'm not anonymous. You know, because there's people out there that are suffering, man. You know,
Hmm.
so that's me. Like there's other people that they're not like that. They don't they're not shouting it from the rooftops, and that's okay. Nothing
Yeah,
wrong with that. So when
definitely.
people ask me why I don't drink, like I cannot wait till people ask me stuff like that. And then, oh yeah, you want to know? And then before you know it, they're like, oh, I wish I never asked you that.
Yeah.
You know, 'cause I'll have a whole conversation about recovery. You
Yeah.
know, yeah.
Hmm.
But anyway, Sarah, now that we're winding it down, is there anything you wanted to say before we get into the questions
Um, not that.
about
No,
what I was just
no.
talking
I think
about? No.
I know. I think I'm good. I think I'm good. Sorry.
Okay, okay, no worries, no worries. Okay, so you talked about this when you were just telling us your story. So, how did perfectionism and control affect your drinking?
So it's again pro perfectionist, pro people pleaser. Um, it honestly was the biggest anchor in my drinking because I was trying to live this life and put on this facade of somebody that because I did in the past looked at somebody who had um, a problem with alcohol or anything like that as a
Mhm.
bad person. And so I was in denial. So I went out of my way to not talk about it, not admit it. When somebody would bring up like something stupid I did when I was drinking, I would shut them down immediately. I didn't want to hear it, I didn't want
Mhm.
to know about it. Um, and just playing this part was so exhausting.
Mhm.
And it wasn't making me happy because it wasn't truly who I was. I was like, crap, I have to get up and play this part, even though I don't feel like it.
Mhm.
And it did the complete opposite of what it did. It made me depressed. It made me anxious. It made me drink more. It
Mhm.
actually kind of validated me in a little way. Like I was good 85% of the day today. I put on my face. I was good. I can now go blackout drink in my bedroom
Mhm.
and nobody will see me and nobody will know. So it kind of also gave me a little like a scapegoat in a way.
Mhm.
Um, but then I realized it wasn't only just with my drinking that I did perfectionism and that it was with everything in life. That's how I lived my life, and I wasn't living a happy life. And um, I wasn't being my true self because I was so scared of being judged
Mhm.
or talked about. And kind of going with you and the control thing, I'm a big control freak too. And
Mhm.
if you can control the narrative with your friends, like they don't have time to talk about you, or
Yeah.
like you can show them that you're a swell type of person, you know,
Yeah.
and you're like, well, they'll all talk about that. So yeah, so it's it's definitely like one of those things. But perfectionism, once you realize humans are not perfect,
Mhm.
um, and we're humans. We're not perfect. We need to give ourselves grace. Nobody is perfect, and if somebody does say they're perfect, they need to. Well, that's a different subject for a different day. But like, nobody's perfect, and then and so yeah, just once I started admitting that I wasn't perfect, everything just changed. But perfectionism was definitely a huge contribution in my drinking.
Mhm. Man, amazing. Okay, so we talked about this a little bit. The next question is, why is stereotype and stigma of alcohol use disorder so important to you?
That so it's really important to me. First of all, I want to say how thankful I am for this community. Like, and again, I know I said it earlier, but how
Mhm.
thankful I am for each and every one of you in this Instagram community of people in sobriety and recovery. I wish obviously Instagram's been around for a long time, but I wish that this was around 4 years ago for me. Um, the stigma with it and why it took me so long to get sober was because of the fear of the judgment of it.
Mhm. Mhm.
The stigma that goes with it. It because of what society tells us somebody in addiction looks like. I was in a denial in a way, and I was like, I couldn't possibly be me. Also, I didn't want to get judged by my friends, by my family, by just people I don't even know. Who cares what they think? But I did at the time.
Yeah.
And so it had me not admit I had a problem, and it made me feel alone. And
Mhm.
a lot of people that I talk to on here who have finally come out and said I do have a problem with alcohol, but I just couldn't admit it because I was scared because I'm a single mom at home. I'm a pastor's wife with 5 kids. They put themselves in their what they look like, and they're like, so I can't possibly be
Yeah.
that, and not being able to admit that suppresses people in recovery because they don't want to come out and admit it, and they don't get help, and then something happens and they don't live the life of recovery. They could end up hurting themselves or and everything, and it's such a scary thing that anybody can be addicted. Can become addicted. It doesn't matter.
Mhm.
Recovery doesn't discriminate. Sorry, addiction doesn't
Yeah.
discriminate. It doesn't. You know, obviously it was a choice for us to pick up the drink and start using, but it wasn't our choice to become addicted to it. It wasn't our
Mhm.
choice to live the off not the awful life, but the turmoil that we lived. And so if I just knew that I had other people out there like me with the same views as me, the same likes as me, the same that there were other dorks out there like me, it makes you feel like you're not alone because you're not. And I would have admitted it much sooner had I known about it. But again, the stigma and stereotype really suppresses a lot of people in recovery, and they don't want to admit it. And I'm having people who tell me that they're like, I didn't want to admit it until I saw, somebody else's page or your page, or you said something that struck with me, and I'm like,
Mhm.
oh crap, like I'm not alone. And
Yeah.
it'll,
Yeah,
yeah,
I can relate to that one. Like when I first got sober, I was 100% positive that nobody did what I did. I was
yeah,
the only one on the whole planet.
uh-huh.
Nobody did these kind of terrible things I've done. And then like my first like week going to meetings, I'm like, everybody does this in this
I
room. I'm
know.
like, what? I was like, really? And like for me, it was so easy for me to open up and share like all of my defects, all the broken places of my life, all these dark places that I hid from everybody because I'm too ashamed.
Yeah.
Shame will kill you. Shame
Oh
will
yes,
absolutely kill you.
it will.
And oh my gosh, and like I was like, dang, I am not alone. It's like we like one big family, and like I was so relatable. The men, the women, it didn't matter. Like, because I mean, I heard early on, like in my first week going to meetings, that this guy would say, focus on the similarities, not the differences. I
Hmm.
actually understood exactly what he's talking about when he said it. Um, and so that's what I started to do. Like, like Sarah, she's from Oregon. I am from Hawaii. She's a girl. I'm a boy. My mind is closed off to anything else I could receive from you that will help benefit my life, and things like that. But it's awesome though.
Yeah. And when you learn other people's stories, like I learned so much from every single person on here, stuff I never thought of, and that's the beauty of this of it. Like, I'm sorry, we don't know it all, but
Yeah,
as much as we
and
like to
like
think we do.
yeah, yeah, I know. And even for me, like I mean, some of my posts, or things that I might say, and all these things, my best thinking has been done by other people. A lot of
Hmm.
the stuff, like things I post, like I'll get from people outside of 12 step, like business entrepreneurs. Some stuff. Oh, I pulled a lot of stuff from Jill, by the way. Her and her big brain,
Hmm.
and other kind of literature I read, and it's not like I come up with all these things. It's because my own thinking got me to where I was, almost 5 years
Hmm.
ago. So I literally had to live my life and do life, period, somebody else's way because my way wasn't working, But I was
Yeah.
the kind of person where I was like, no, I will pound a square peg in a round hole, and I'll show you that it's gonna fit. I'll smash it in there, kind
Yeah.
of thing, and it's just it's so crazy though. I'm just thank God, like I don't think that way anymore. Like I'm very much aware. Like if I'm deceiving or if I'm lying or if I'm trying to manipulate, I'm aware of it today. Before it was just a way of life. That's just there's nothing wrong with it. I'm trying to survive. I'm trying to please me and what I want and things like that. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Are you reading comments?
Yeah, sorry. I got
No, it's
distracted
all
by the
good.
one Sarah just wrote.
It's all good.
Yes. I just want to kind of say something on that comment. It's totally normal if people do not understand addiction. A lot of people don't. So that's totally normal. 100%. A lot of people think that it is a choice, and everything, and that's fine to feel that way. But that's why we're here, is to inform, because a lot of
Uh-huh.
people are not informed of
Right.
addiction and what it can cause for not only the person with the disease, but everybody around them. And one thing is, kind of the reel I made yesterday, kind of the bullshit of
Yeah.
what people say with alcohol use disorder. People are not weak in addiction. They're not weak people. They don't lack morals. They don't. They're not those type of people. And so I guess my whole thing is, Sarah, I hope that you just open your mind a little bit more and learn a little bit more about it. I understand you don't understand. That's totally fine, totally cool. But I just hope you just open your mind a little bit, to what addiction and why people
Mhm.
come to this, why people have this disease
Yeah.
and choices in their life. So, anyways, okay, so we
Yeah.
can get
No, no,
back to
that's a good one. No, I wanna
yeah.
I wanna add on to what you're saying, to Sarah. Um, you know, some people say addiction is a choice, some people say it's a disease. I never found anybody that's active in recovery that said it was a choice. Like, if you think about somebody who has diabetes, diabetes is a disease. Did they choose to get diabetes, or was a bunch of choices of eating too many sweets and not taking care of yourself that led to the diabetes kind of thing? Um, in regards to being strong and weak, this is just my take on that. It has nothing to do with like willpower, if you're strong or weak. When somebody is trying to get sober, it all comes down to, are you willing, are you ready now, are you ready? Because I have seen, in my own experience, that we cannot argue somebody into getting sober, argue somebody into getting into treatment. You literally, you could, but it is very ineffective. It is
Yes.
is very, very ineffective. There
Hmm.
will be no long-term sobriety or recovery because somebody's making you do something against your own will. See, nobody made me drink and use. Nobody made me recover. I became willing to do both, on
Hmm.
my own. My experience showed me, man, once I started, I couldn't stop. I was destroying my finances, my physical health, my relationships with other people, my mental health. Like I started seeing things. Like after a while, after 20 years of drinking and doing drugs, yeah, I literally would start to see things, and stuff like that, like these dots in my eyes and stuff. And yeah, it was bad. It was bad, you
Yeah.
know.
and
But
and a lot of people, kind of going off what you just said, sorry to go off topic a
no,
little
it's
bit
all
with
good.
questions, but I made a post earlier, like when I first started my page, but I ended up deleting it, and I'm kind of regret deleting it because I meant what I said, and it was still part of that people pleasing mentality that I
Oh
had.
yeah.
But I said the only person that can get you sober is yourself. And it is. Rob Lowe said it like the best. He talks
Yeah.
about it. He goes, "You can't get sober for your wife, for
Yeah.
your kids, for all that stuff. It's for
Mhm.
yourself." He's a beautiful speech he makes, and it's true.
Yeah.
And I had somebody respond back, like somebody respond to it, saying like, "This could actually affect somebody and not help them get sober. It could make them feel like they can't do it." Or it was a really, I don't fully remember, but I was like, "Oh shoot, maybe that is. Maybe I am coming off that way." But no, it's. I can't make you get sober. I can't make anybody get sober. You have to do it for yourself. I had my ex-husband try to get me sober. I had my ex-boyfriend try to get me sober. I had my parents try to get me sober. My siblings, my best friends, they all tried it. And yeah, I was sober for a little bit, but guess what? I apparently had a case of the buckets, and I just kept, and I wasn't doing it for me. I was doing it to people please other people.
Yeah, totally relatable. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that with with the other Sarah. And if you're still here, Sarah, the other Sarah, yeah, please, Jill. I seen Jill, who is sober powered. She said, "Go listen to my podcast. I explain it." I'm not kidding. Please go check out her podcast. At 4 Years Sober, I am still learning so much about addiction from Jill. So it's a great. I encourage you to go out and go listen to it.
Yeah, and also Sarah too.
Where did we leave off?
The questions, and really quickly, Sarah, thank you for being on here and expressing how you feel about it. That it's great to hear that, but also we're here to inform you about that. So thank you for that too as well. Okay, we're on the questions. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Definitely reach out to Jill though. Let's see. Okay. Okay. How were your past journeys in sobriety different from this one?
So my past journeys, which I've had a handful of them, that didn't stick, obviously. The biggest thing, which I did touch base a little bit about that, was I wasn't being honest with myself. And then just what we were just saying, I was doing it for other people. I was doing it to please other people, to make them happy, and everything. And I was, again, kind of like a zombie. I was doing the notions of everything, but I wasn't treating the root cause. I wasn't treating my anxiety or depression. I was still in denial that I could possibly be an addiction, even though I knew that I was. But I thought there was some glimmer of hope that I could control it, to moderate, to cure myself, to all this stuff. And so I had still had that perfectionist, people pleasing mentality and not being honest with myself. And that just, it was fine. I rode the pink cloud in the beginning. But I was faking that pink cloud. And then once the pink cloud turned gray, I didn't know how to do anything. So I relapsed. And this time something clicked, and my mindset changed so fast. And starting the Instagram and just writing that first post, and admitting everything, I felt like a weight was lifted off my shoulders, and I was at the point where I had a realization of what I wanted in life. And I had a kind of panic moment of looking at my age, and just, even though I'm not old, but I started reflecting back on the life that I lived and what I've accomplished, what I haven't accomplished, and all of these things just came to my head that I never realized before. And I became open, honest, and truthful, and just annoyingly let it all out there. And that is why I know this journey is gonna stick. And also that I have my support of my Instagram community, of this amazing sober community.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Okay. The next question is, why is honesty and being open about your recovery matter to you?
It matters to me because in the past, because I was in denial and hid a lot and was not open and honest, it became another anchor in my drinking. I am such not a confrontational person with myself and with others. The whole people pleasing thing too, with just telling them what they wanted to hear so the fight could end, or just doing what they wanted to do. Even though I didn't want to do it, I always felt guilty canceling plans even if I didn't want to. And then it caused more anxiety and depression, or I didn't say what I truly meant. I just said what they wanted to hear. It caused more anxiety and depression, which led me to drink more. And I realized, I was doing the same thing, not just with drinking, but just in my normal day-to-day life too. And looking back when I got sober this time and looking back at what I hadn't accomplished in life, because I wasn't living for myself, I was living for other people. The only thing I was living for myself for was to drink. So I was completely selfish in that manner, but I wasn't selfish in my own happiness or my own mental health recovery.
Right.
And so that is why honesty is so important, because honestly, once you become honest with yourself and admit to those around you, it's uncomfortable. It's so uncomfortable. Super weird and uncomfortable. But once you admit that and have that honesty with yourself, that's when you can truly recover. I no longer have that denial. I no longer have that fear of getting judged. I no longer have that. And now it's a relief, and recovery grows every day and becomes more and more beautiful for me, which I'm so blessed for.
Yeah. That one is huge for me. Like I tell people this whenever I'm speaking or doing something or at a meeting, that honesty, it's one of the essentials for recovery. I learned honesty, willingness, and open-mindedness. But for me, honesty, being honest with myself, is the single hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life. Like I don't see anything coming close to that. Like I don't think I will ever face anything more challenging than that. Because I was really good at lying, lying, with myself, lying to me, but lying to other people as well. And just because, I just practiced it. I perfected. I was a professional liar, like professional people pleaser, professional liar. Like I would charm you. I would do anything, whatever, to get what I want. I would lie and everything, and that was a learned behavior. And like I had to learn to unlearn these things, and God played a big part in that in my life, with not just the change in the behavior. It's like my thinking, my thoughts. Like I renew my mind like daily, because it's my thoughts. Because this is what I learned about in recovery in my program, that it's an obsession of the mind, an allergy of the body, and then the spiritual malady. So before the spiritual malady was the allergy. Before the allergy was the obsession. Before the obsession, it was one thought that I repeated over and over. That's it. That led me down this whole path. It started all with my thinking. It's not the thought that comes and goes. It's the thought that comes and stays. So I'm very much aware of like the thoughts that drop into my mind. I think about what I think about today, and kind of, taking inventory at the end of the day and things like that, or throughout my day as well. I had to 10-step someone today, but I get to do those things. I have the ability to see what I did wrong, if I caused harm, if I hurt somebody, and things like that, and not just, no, it was all you, and like, real victim. I was a real victim man before. Yeah. But honesty, I like that. And like that's a common thread in why you are where you are today, because you talked about it a lot throughout your story. That's something I picked up on, was honesty. And the last question I'll ask you before I let you go is, what would you say to the newcomer, to the person trying to get sober right now, to encourage them? What would you say to them?
Ooh, I like that question. I would definitely say, first off and foremost, you are stronger than you think you are. You are absolutely not alone.
No.
And you have absolutely nothing to feel ashamed of. And once you get that, once you accept that and do that, honestly, I always rolled my eyes when people would say those corny, like one day at a time, you know, all those corny stuff, all of that stuff. I always rolled my eyes at it. The corny phrases, but honestly, you really can change your life, and all it takes is admitting it, not being ashamed, and knowing that you are not alone. You have a whole community behind you, and you don't have to do it alone. I tried to do it alone. It obviously didn't work. It took me over 10 years. So yeah, but honestly, you're not alone. Give yourself grace. And you are stronger than you truly are stronger than you think you are. 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. That encouraged me, man. All right. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you know, like extend grace, extend grace. I like that one, extending grace, because a lot of us, we can extend grace. It's easier to extend grace to other people, but when it comes to ourselves, you know, extend especially forgiveness. That's one. Like, man, you guys out there, you guys truly are not alone. Like, for me, it wasn't until I offered and accepted my own forgiveness that I was able to truly grow in my sobriety. You know, it wasn't, and it's not an overnight matter. These things, like, and we all didn't become drug addicts and alcoholics in one day. It wasn't an overnight matter. It took time. Same thing in recovery. It takes time. It takes effort. You know, it's like you can't. You know, people. I hear people say, you know, meeting makers don't make it. Like, because some people, they only go to meetings and they just hope all the problems go away, and you know, and things like that. But that's part of recovery. That's not recovery, period. That's part of it, though. You know. But yeah, forgiveness is hard. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Simon, Simon, yeah, absolutely. You know, but you know, for me, like forgiving somebody else, the more I practice it, actually, to be honest, the easier it got, because I understood that resentment is the number one offender for me. It is fatal. It's poison for somebody like me. I have it written down somewhere, or it's in my phone. I've been resentment free for approximately 752 days. Now, ever since, yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Ever since I went through my fourth step, I have never, ever copped a resentment toward anybody, because I understand it. It made sense to me. You know, like I can get upset and things like that, but I don't ever let anything like that turn into resentment for me, because separated from drugs and alcohol, I can destroy my life off of resentment. You know, I understand that about me, you know, so that's why I keep that stuff at bay, you know. But Sarah, thank you so much, man. This is great. And just so you guys know, for those of you who are still here, we have our Pro Recovery Power recovery meeting, and it's on Wednesday, and Sarah will be sharing at the meeting as well. So tune in for that, guys. It's going to be great. It's through Zoom. If you guys want to attend, you guys can follow us, and I post about it. You can go through my feed and see what the meeting is. It's through Zoom. It's at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's going to be great. Jill's all excited about it. Everybody's all excited about this one. You know? Yeah. And you know, Sarah, thank you so much for spreading your hope. You know, I feel a lot more hopeful after this one. You know, so I want to thank you for that. And I thank you for your reels, man. Thank you for all the laughs I get.
You are welcome. You are welcome. No, I'm just kidding. No, thank you so much for inviting me on. I'm truly honored to be here, and honored that you asked me to share. And it's a great feeling. So
yeah, thank you so much, man, for you know, this hour right here that you made a decision to come here and share your story with other people that are willing to listen. You'll never get that back, you know. So thank you for being an example of service as well. You know, yeah. Okay. So go make a reel about this and post it so we can see it. But yeah, I will keep in touch with you leading up to Wednesday, though, Sarah. So thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much, and thanks everybody for listening.
Thank you.
Look forward to Wednesday.
Okay, me too.
Right. Bye.
All right, bye. Okay, guys, that was Sarah's story. If you have a story to tell, you know somebody that does, reach out to me and we can make that happen. People need to hear the message of hope now more than any other time in the world, you know, because people are dying out there. If I'm not mistaken, in 2019, 760,000 people died as a direct result of drugs and alcohol in the United States. Death is inevitable, but I believe death due to addiction is 100% preventable. You see, although we cannot make somebody do this, we cannot make somebody recover. It's a choice. We got to become willing. Through our stories, we can help move somebody's bottom up. Because I know people that have died before they hit their bottom. And it's so sad. The world never seen what they had to offer. So thank you guys so much for watching, for your support, for your love. We appreciate it. We'll see you guys next week, or we'll see you guys on Wednesday at the meeting. Take care, guys. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.